And it looks like we are live.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for taking some time and tuning in here today. Super, super excited to be with you today. I'm joined with my friend, no stranger to the group, to our channels, everything like that, Josh Lustig. Um, in my neighboring state, by the way, in Idaho, we've had kind of a debate the last couple of years on which state is better. Like maybe you guys could let us know in the comments which state you prefer better, if only if you've been to both. I don't want any biases if you haven't been to both. Um, and we got a really great training for you guys today. We got a training on time management and setting boundaries. And I don't think there's anybody better we could have join us for this than Josh. First off, Josh, how are you today?
I'm doing great, fantastic. By the way, Idaho is better, but we can let the comments decide that. But yeah, really excited about today's training. I appreciate you, as always, just having a conversation with me about it. It's one of my favorite topics is
Yeah.
talking about boundaries, structuring your day, because really, like we talk about money a lot, and that's great, and I love growing the money and growing the business side. But it's also just important to like realize, our most precious commodity is our time, and you can't really get more of it, back per se, but you
Yeah.
can prioritize, how you spend it. So today's gonna be fun. We're gonna talk a lot about that. And for those of you that are coming out to Omaha next month for the Thrive seminar, Christian and I are hosting that together September 18th and 19th. And
Yep.
this topic is a big piece of it, along with the marketing and sales and stuff like that. And so we're taking a little excerpt out of the seminar and chatting about it, kind of roundtable style today. So
I love it. I love it. And guys, if you want some more information on Thrive, you want to see, um, where you can get tickets. I'm actually throwing the links down into the comment sections of all the streams. So get your tickets to Thrive. You won't be disappointed. It's going to be an incredible event. I'm super pumped about it. I'm really excited. Yeah, you guys won't want to miss it.
yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see you guys there. For those of you that are coming, we're super excited. But maybe we should dive right into
Yeah.
the kind of task at hand and talking about. The other day, really what inspired me on this topic, and Christian, you're no stranger to this topic as well, is I was talking to a client of mine, a private consulting client, and they're an insurance agent. They just crossed the seven-figure mark, and they
Mm,
were coming to me talking about, Josh, I really don't need help with the money side of things right now. Before I can think about anything is I got to get the stress to go away.
mhm.
This person was saying they have physical illnesses, that are coming up because they're so stressed all the time. They have been in business 8 years, so they grew a seven-figure business in 8 years,
That's
and don't have any
highly
time.
impressive.
That is by itself, that's impressive. And one thing that stuck out to me is they said, Josh, what's interesting is you talk about two things a lot. You talk about money freedom, and you talk about time freedom. And she said, one thing that I have is I feel like I have money freedom. I'm making seven figures. I never did that before in my life. She was a teacher before. And she said, the thing that I really want more than anything, though, even more than the money at this point, now that I have it, is the time. I
Yeah.
don't have any time. My schedule is crazy. I never have my brain turn off. It's going in the middle of the night. It's going at dinner time when I should be focused on my kids. It's going when I'm trying to have a conversation with my friend. It's going all the time about the business, and it never shuts off. I don't, Christian, have you ever had, like, I can't know the answer, but have you ever had stuff like that where it's just like the brain doesn't shut down for a while?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I'm of the opinion, and I'd love to kind of hear your feedback on this part of it, Josh, is like I think anybody that's kind of broken into the seven-figure range has probably had to be in that mind space to probably get to that point, right? Like I think everybody kind of goes through that at some point, and then they almost have to kind of unlearn some things that they've learned to maybe get them into that place, right? Or maybe something that helped them kind of propel up into that place. Like it's almost interesting because you almost think about it like the way I think about it anyway is like you have different levels, right, that you can kind of go through in your business. So like you focus on things differently, different areas of your business you focus on. And then when you get to seven figures, you almost have to like reprogram some of that so you can find ways to kind of pull back a little bit and unplug.
For sure. The one thing is I don't know what level it is, and I've come to the conclusion it's not a dollar amount, it's a state of being like in your business when all of a sudden the money isn't so shiny anymore. And that's different for everybody. For some people that
Yeah.
might be at 100,000. For some people it might be at 500,000. Some people it might be at 10 million, but somewhere along the path, and this is not putting a dig on money. Like money's great, let's get more of it. It's not that hard. Let's talk about it. But somewhere along the way, the money loses some of its shine, and you go, what am I doing this for if I don't enjoy my day to day? And some people find that sooner than others. And
Mhm.
it's not that you don't enjoy the work, it's that we don't enjoy the stress or the overwhelm that comes with it. And I'm a firm believer at this point, a firm believer that it's a lack of boundaries more than anything else, a lack of boundaries with yourself, a lack of boundaries with your clients, a lack of boundaries with your staff, a lack of boundaries with your own family. And when we start to kind of dissect this, at least with this private consulting client, and that's a lot of what I do is not only the the income side, but it's also how do we stay happy or how do we get happy at the same time as growing the business. And I wanted to share, if it's okay with the group, I wanted to share some of the tips that we walked through with this 7-figure earner on. They're simple, but they're super effective in getting our happiness back or our peace of mind or our sanity, instead of, you're getting that phone call at 7 p.m. and thinking, I have to answer it. Even if you don't answer the phone at 7 p.m., it's still, if it was a text message, it still derailed your peace in that moment. And you thought about the business, and now it kicked you, instead of playing with your 3-year-old or your grandkid or your, having your family over, whatever it is, instead of being in that moment, now your brain just got distracted, even if you didn't answer the message and you just looked at it. And now you're down this rabbit hole of thinking about all your business stuff all over again. And you're really not living in any moment. You're living
Mhm.
in all the moments at the same time. And that doesn't work. So I thought maybe we just go through some structure of what we went through, if that's a good agenda and curriculum for you, Christian.
Absolutely, please.
Sweet. Well, for me, I like to break it down, and I'm kind of more of a teacher. So for any of you that don't like that style, I apologize. For those of you that like curriculum, that's me. I like that. So on the kind of the left side of my page, I have one bucket, and on the right side of my page, I have another bucket when it comes to overwhelm, stress, that kind of stuff. The first one is distractions off the job, like anxiety when you're not at work, or overwhelm when you're not at work, or being interrupted in personal moments like at the dinner table with your family, or when you're at the movie theater and you're just trying to unplug. So there's, on the left side, I have off the job, and on the right side, I have on the job. So during your workday, you feel overwhelmed. During your workday, you feel stressed, or whatever it is. And I think let's break it down that way. So for the off the job stuff, for me, the number one thing is, if you have a kid, they run up to you and say, daddy, 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 or mommy, mommy, mommy. And it takes you like 7 times to even register that somebody's speaking to you. Like, that's a problem. If you're pulling your phone out at dinner with your spouse or your significant other, and you're doing work stuff when you really should be focused on them, because it's literally at a dinner table or at a restaurant. We all fall into this sometimes. That's a problem. Why is work more important than our personal life? It really shouldn't be. So the first thing, before anything else, if you're taking notes, write this down. The first thing is have a firm schedule with boundaries, a firm schedule, and know when you're going to be at work and when you're not going to be at work. The thing that a lot of us do, especially if you work from home, or even if you work from an office and it's close, is there's really no boundary there. It's, am I working? Am I not? Somebody even said the other day, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm just kind of more fluid, Josh. So I know you're really structured, but I'm more fluid. So like sometimes I'll quit working at noon, and sometimes I'll keep working till 7. And for me, that just doesn't work. To be honest, I'm pretty polarizing on this. I don't think it works for anybody. People just say that it does.
Agreed.
It's not effective. Yeah, I mean, I know you're a pretty structured person as well, and so you probably resonate with that.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's one of those, like, I feel like we are at our best when we're following a routine and a habit, right? So like there's been so many books written about habits, right? Like there's a reason. It's because it's effective. You have good habits and you have bad habits. And I feel like for me, anytime in my career that I've been kind of following that model where like I just kind of go with the wind, I'm like, oh, today I'm going to do this and today I'm going to do that. I'm not nearly as productive and I'm not nearly as accomplished. I'm not nearly as happy. I totally believe that you're better off. I think somebody that has like a schedule, maybe they work, I don't know, 9 to 6 every day, for example, Monday through Friday, and they don't work any other times of the day is going to get a lot more done than the person that's like, I'm going to do 16 hours today, and then I'm going to take 2 days off after that. Like, I think it's chaotic.
Or even, even worse than that is people, if you're, and if you're listening to this and this is you, no offense. I see that it causes more stress and anxiety than anything else, where you work from 7 to 9, take a couple hours off, kind of do half work while you're kind of working on something and, maybe watching your kids. And then at 11 a.m., you work again, kind of full time for another hour or two. And then you go to the pool for an hour. Like if you're doing that, you're kicking in and out and there's no focus. And that's where there's just a lot of stress because you're constantly, your brain's saying, what am I doing right now? Am I supposed to be doing this right now? Well, you're with your kids and you feel like you should be at work, or you're at work and you think you should be with your kids. Or I use that because I got 3 kids and one on the way. So that's my reality. But whatever yours is, we need to have a firm schedule. Now, the second one, and this might be actually the biggest one for today's lesson, is your cell phone. No boundaries with your cell phone is extremely detrimental to your overall peace of mind and just sanity. It really is. People can get a hold of this person I was talking about, that 7-figure earner. She's incredible. But her agents can get a hold of her at 9 p.m. or 3 in the morning, not 3, but 4 in the morning. Like they can text her any time of the day and she feels obligated to respond. That's not how it actually works. That's just a lack of a boundary. Nobody needs to be responded to if it's outside of business hours. Fight me to the death on this, somebody, please, because every time I bring this up, people try to say, no, that's not right. No, who needs to have your attention other than your friends and family outside of business hours? They really don't. There's no emergencies that are that big typically on an average day that can't be solved at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. And
Totally.
That's destroying families. And so for me, the biggest hack, if you're listening to nothing else today, and this is the only thing you listen to from me, the biggest hack is to leave your cell phone in the car, or better yet, leave your cell phone at the office. Now, Josh, I can't go without my cell phone, then get a new one. And especially if you're having trouble with this and know you need to take action, get your personal cell phone. Just decide that that's not your personal cell anymore. If all your clients have your phone number, all your vendors have phone number, take that phone and decide that that's just going to be a work phone now. And then get a new phone with a new phone number. And this is what this lady's doing. She's doing it actually tomorrow. On Friday. Friday, she's going and getting at the Verizon store a new phone, and she's going to text her closest 20 friends and family and say, this is my new cell phone number. My old one will only be accessible during the day. And she's leaving the old personal cell phone at work and not bring it home. What happens is our phones bring the work home. And if you leave it out, for me, this has been the number one thing that's helped me, is when my phone rings, I don't even know that it rang. If I knew that it rang, it would distract me even right now. If I knew that the text message came in from XYZ person, my curiosity alone would drive me to look at it. It's like a freaking heroin addict. They have to have it. We are addicts to our phone. We have to have that dopamine hit of, oh, somebody needs me. Okay, I have good boundaries. I'm not gonna answer the phone right now. Too late. You already lost the distraction battle. So I know I went on and on that, but do not have your cell phone accessible at night. And if it's a problem, get a new cell phone.
I love that. A quote comes to mind that makes that I was that popped into my head while you were talking, and it's that your emergency is not my emergency. Right? And I that's definitely something that I think about. There's a lot of people in our space that I'll talk to, and maybe they work with agents, right? And they'll be like, I had an agent message me at 1 a.m. and I was helping them at 1 a.m. I'm like, why? I'm like, I was asleep. Like, what were you doing at 1 a.m.? And that was me at one point in time. And I've learned that this is another thing I would also maybe just something to think about, right? Just kind of in line with what Josh is talking about. If you have clients, right, that are calling at a certain, late at weird hours, right? They're messaging you, emailing you at weird hours. Now, that's different. Like if someone don't even look at your email, because some people can just email and they'll expect you to just see it in the morning. I think that's rather normal. But like if they text you at weird hours, they call you at weird hours, if it's a client, if it's an agent and you're someone that works with agents, right? Are they probably going to be your most valuable client or your most valuable agent? No.
No.
Right? Like for me, right? Like we have thousands of clients in our agency. We have hundreds of agents. Our most valuable, our biggest pain in the ass clients are the ones that would call late at night and things like that. And we kind of don't care if they go. We kind of don't really care that much if we lose them, because a regular normal person is not going to do that. And if it's an agent, it's definitely not my best agents that are sending me messages weird late hours into the night. It's usually the ones that aren't doing much,
Well, and they're not going to get upset. The people that you want in your life are not going to get upset if you draw a boundary and say, I need to be at my best when I'm at work and my best when I'm at home. And so, if you have a repeat offender, just tell them, I'm getting better at my boundaries. And if you do what I just said, it doesn't even matter if somebody texts you. You don't even see it until the morning anyway. So if your brain doesn't even know it exists, you can't have stress about it. That's my whole theory is, if I don't even see the text message, if I don't even see the Facebook Messenger request, if I don't even see the email until 8 a.m., then my brain's not stressed at all. I see it. I go, okay, it's time to respond to it. Oh, that was at 2 a.m. That's kind of weird. Maybe they were just up late. Like, that's what I feel. And some people will take offense. They're like, I cannot believe that person texted me at 2 a.m. Why is your freaking phone on?
Great point. Great point.
It's your own boundary. And I laugh because I've done it before and it's so easy to do. And so I'm not making fun of it. I'm trying to make light of it because I did it for a long time. And that's just one thing. So the next thing is a brain dump on a piece of paper. So it's just a psychology term. If you have a piece of paper in your house, I don't recommend your phone because your phone's distraction central, right? So just have a piece of paper or a notepad. I just like a yellow pad. Just leave it in my house. If I do have a thought of like, oh gosh, I don't want to forget that, just write it down, get it off of your brain. Anything that's causing you stress, physically write it down on a list, and then you can look at that tomorrow morning. And you know that you can go to bed, you can sleep at night, because all those ideas or all those things are on a piece of paper waiting for you for tomorrow morning. And for me, this has been helpful as well. And this is still all on the personal side, so I probably need to speed up because I promised we wouldn't go too long today.
This is good stuff. We're gonna keep you on for 2 hours, Josh, because this is good stuff.
The last one that I have on my list for the personal side, and clearly it's not a comprehensive list, but just a few items to get people started, is actively planning your time off on what you're going to do. For people that are type A personalities, high D, like ready to go conquer the world. For those personalities like ours, sometimes it's difficult because if you're like me, you go home, you don't necessarily know what you're going to do. Like, your time will always get occupied, but I find I'm happiest when I've scheduled, like, what are we going to do tonight? Even if it's as simple as sit on the playroom floor and read books to my kid. My brain goes, when I get there and I'm reading books on the floor with my 5-year-old, my brain doesn't say, oh, you shouldn't be doing this right now. You should be doing all these other things, because I already scheduled time for that. And so I can say in my subconscious, it tells me this is exactly where you're supposed to be right now. So just like we schedule work time, the best is scheduling off hours. On Saturday, I'm going to go boating on the lake with XYZ. It gives you something to look forward to, and it helps your brain shut off instead of being like, it's all about work all the time. Half the time, it's just because you're bored. It's just because your brain isn't engaged in what you're doing. And so it goes to your default, which is business, fun, money. And then you go down that rabbit hole and you find all kinds of stuff in there. So at least that's been my experience.
I think that's really good. I think it's really huge. Like I heard Chris Weird tell me something. Chris Weird told me something years ago. He said, he said early on in my career, I would, you know, be at work all the time and be guilty I wasn't at home. And when I tried to be at home, I was guilty I wasn't at work. And I think having that structure and that plan where you have like, okay, it's almost like an appointment, right? Like I always tell people, for me, a big hack of mine has always been blocking off my schedule. I do a lot of the same things. Like everything that happens in my life is in my calendar, and I'm like, I'm there. If something's in my calendar, I'm going to be there. And it's one of those things where like you make an appointment with yourself, and you would treat it the same as you would with a client. You wouldn't blow off an appointment with a client. So why would you blow off an appointment with you?
Bingo.
And I think it's so powerful. And I think it's just one of those things about, I think the structure and the organization is what allows you to fit more in a day, personally and professionally, right? And you get everything out of the day that you want.
That's I couldn't have said it better myself, so I'm not even gonna try to recap it. Like, if you didn't hear that, like, go back and watch that in the recording. It just dawned on me, Christian, all the people that need the time management stuff the most probably aren't even watching this because they're too busy. So I get that all the time. I'm too busy to work on it. I totally get it. What you really need to do is take a focus day. So if you are watching this, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to implement any of this anyway, Josh or Christian. Then what you really desperately need is a focus day where you just schedule on your calendar as if you flew to Hawaii with no cell phone coverage all day in an airplane. And you just decide that you're gone to the world for that day. And you look at your life and you decide, what do I want the next 2 weeks of my life to look like? And you schedule out every hour of every day for the next 14 days. And you schedule in personal time and you schedule in work time, and you say, I'm going to focus as if these were appointments with my most important client. Like Christian just said, my most important client, you would never miss that meeting. So don't miss the meeting with yourself. By the way, you're more important than that client is anyway. To you, it's your life. You need to be there. Otherwise, you can't actually help them. If you're 7 different places in your brain all the time, like, and it happens all the time even for me, and I got to reset. Got to go to my focus day and say, Josh, what are you doing with your life? And how do you want this to look for the next 2 weeks, the next 2 months, the next 2 years? So anyway, for me, those are some things that have been really helpful on the personal side of things. On the business side, like in the workday, the number one thing is time blocking. Service work versus sales activities, having a personal access boundary with your cell phone, even in the workday. Not just having it constantly dinging you all day, because it's so easy just to check a message every time. That's not efficient. So time block your email, time block your service requests, all into the same. For me, it's 11 to noon every day and 4 to 5. I like having those time blocks to catch up on just notification type stuff, because anybody that gets emails you over the night, they're not going to be so upset if you get to them at 11 a.m. And if they are upset, I guess I never get that. So sometimes you get from the world what you expect. So I will challenge that. Some people say it's too late to get back at 11 a.m. No, it's not. That's perfectly acceptable. Anybody that emails or texts in between noon and 4, if I'm not available for that time block, but I get back to them at 4:30 or 5, nobody's going to be upset about that. You're still getting back to people in a great time, but you're not distracted every minute throughout the day. So that's email, phone calls, text messages, anything that's a notification. All that stuff should be done in time blocks. At least in our office, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I really like that. I've always kind of looked at it from the standpoint of this kind of maybe ties into like somebody that has built a book of business. Maybe they have 500 clients, 800 clients, and they're hiring their first team member, right? They're hiring an assistant, somebody to help them in their business. The biggest fear they always get is, my clients will only talk to me. And how many times have you heard that? I've heard that a million times, right? But it's like, what do we always say to them, right? Like what I always say to them is, you have to train them. You have to train your clients. Same kind of thing. You have to train people that the expectation of you getting back is that kind of turnaround time. So like if they message you in the middle of the night, they shouldn't expect you to get back that quickly. Because if they expect it of you, either there's something wrong with them, or there's something wrong with you because you've gotten back to them too often, right? Like in the middle of the night like that. And so I think a lot of it can kind of be circled back to how well are you training the people in your life.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm sorry there's a glitch there. So hopefully I didn't run you over. But as far as that goes, I 100% agree. If you need to retrain like a client base, people say, oh, it takes forever. It really doesn't. I thought that it was going to. I was really scared about that when I transitioned from full-time selling to not selling anything. And, I was getting 75 emails a day on average that I had to respond to, like client, not just like spam mail, but like things I actually had to respond to. It was getting ridiculous. And that was in like 2020. I was doing 55, new T65s a month all by myself. And that was a fun time, but it was just getting overwhelming. So many emails every day. And to be honest, from the time that I stopped, like it was somebody else taking over my inbox to me having no message. Like I don't get any messages from clients anymore, which is crazy to me because they still have my email address. So it shows that there's a period of time where they were retrained. They could still email my email address, but nobody does anymore. And so like people ask, Josh, what was that timeline like for you? And I'll say it was about 18 months. And to go from 75 emails a day to like 5 emails a day was relatively quick. I would say within 6 months, it was down to like 5 emails a day or less. And I just would forward those to my admin, and then eventually they just check it for me. But I wasn't that intelligent back then, so I didn't know how to do that. So I would just forward the request. But now it's crazy to me. Nobody. So that timeline is actually shorter than you realize. If you're somebody that's really struggling right now, you're under the water and you're trying to just get your head above the water, just know that it's not some crazy 5-year process. It probably is a couple months, and you're well on your way to getting some of your client base retrained, at least the ones that are, constantly getting in touch with you. So for me, that's one thing. The last thing that I'll talk about is a physical space boundary. If you're in an office setting, people should not expect that they can just walk right in. So staff don't just walk right in, or clients don't just walk right in. It's that there's a boundary there where you have times where you're open, that it's just anybody can walk in for whatever reason. And most of your time should be, you're not available. Nobody expects to walk in my office or call my office and get Josh on the phone right away. Nobody, except for my wife. But nobody expects that, because there's a boundary there that I feel is really healthy. And that boundary did not used to exist. And so if you're constantly like the person I was telling you about, this 7-figure earner that we were talking about when I was coaching, they would have a problem. People just walk into their office all the time. And they're like, I don't know how to get rid of that. I said, no worries. It's just a really formal conversation that says, I'm here to, and this is the way to phrase it, my best work is XYZ things. It's marketing, it's this, it's this, it's this. I need to focus on these things. In order for me to do that, it's gonna help all of us more. You guys need to be doing these things, and there's a boundary here, so we can all get more done in the day. We can all have more success, and we can all have more peace of mind. That's a great way to have a conversation. And I encourage you, if you're listening to this now or when the recording comes out, I really encourage you to set up these boundaries. Like, don't just listen to it and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm glad it worked for you. I just learned this from somebody else too. I mean, I didn't make this up. Christian didn't make this up. And it's just best practices that have worked for my mentors. I know it'll work for you, even, especially if you're in that $1 million plus or $500,000 plus. You have a lot more going on now than you used to. And it's okay to take some, a day and kind of regroup and say, no, we're going to change things. We're going to have boundaries now. And I'm going to get my time back so I have more of my life. And don't get so worried about what other people are going to think about you. Just make the plunge.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff, buddy. This was good stuff. I want to be respectful of your time because, I don't want to go outside of your time block, but
I don't have any time block for Christian Brindle. You can anytime you want.
Josh's wife and Christian Brindle. Those are the two people that
two people that have my personal, right?
Let's talk real quickly before we wrap up about Thrive, right? So I kind of looked at this training as a great preview to what maybe they could expect at Thrive, the type of great, not just business information, but personal information that they could probably expect at Thrive, which is a great focus. It's really doing better in all areas of your life is the way that I look at it. And talk a little bit about Thrive and kind of what everybody can have in terms of an expectation that's going to be out in Omaha in a couple months here.
Yeah, for sure. So the event is September 18th and 19th in Omaha. We're super pumped for it. Normally we have less than 50 people. I like to keep the room small. That way I found, for me at least, that is a big enough room that we have collaboration, small enough room that we know every single person's name. And to me, that's really important. So we build those connections. So that's kind of the style of the event. It's very curriculum heavy. And so it's very much, I like bullet points. I like to have frameworks. I like to have formulas. To me, it makes sense when I go home. It's easy to implement. And so the topics are largely around marketing. We had a guy that uses our marketing system. He came through Thrive. He's a private client of ours now in our mastermind group. And he did 128 T65 clients last month between him and 2 of his new agents using the webinar marketing system that we have. And he's just having fantastic results. He's just one example from last month. And so we're going to be breaking down that exact funnel. How do you use webinars and videos and online marketing to attract clients, pre-educate them, and have them schedule their own appointment? That's like the holy grail. And I've been using this for over 2.5 years. Some of our clients have been using it for almost 2 years now. So it's been cool to see. So we're breaking all that down at the Thrive seminar. The sales process, I have 6 different scripts that I give to my LOAs, my internal team. And so we're gonna be breaking down the scripting on exactly how we get to a sale on the phone. And it's the same process every single time. So we're talking about sales scripting, sales processes, how many times do you call them, how many days in a row, what do you do on the technology side with the CRMs and on all that stuff, automations, we're talking all about that. But another big piece of the event, so that's marketing and sales. Another big piece of the event is how do you structure your agency moving forward? This is something newer that we're talking about that we didn't used to think was as relevant. Now I think it's the most relevant. People want to know how do you see this agency that has, let's say, like the agency we just acquired, it's over $1 million, about a 1.1 million gross. How do they have 80% net margin on that? Like, how are they bringing home 80% of the total revenue and putting it in their pocket, but still have $1 million or $2 or $3 or $4 million agency? So we're going to break down the structure, exactly what I would do if I was going from $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 a year to wanting to have $300,000, $400,000 or $500,000 a month, and just kind of how does that structure of the team, the marketing systems, all that together. And then finally, and then I'll shut up. I'm just super passionate about the event, if you can't tell. Finally, the thing that we talk about for a little bit of it that I think has the biggest impact is planning out your life and just taking a retreat from your business, from your life, from even your own family, just taking a retreat for a minute to be you and think about what I really want for the next year, 10 years, 20 years. What do I actually want out of this whole business and life, and building a roadmap on how to get there. And we go through some very particular exercises that I've paid over hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn from my mentors. We're going to go through those exercises, and I just can't wait to see you there. I'll shut up now, but that's all about the Thrive seminar. It's only $250, guys. That doesn't hardly even cover the cost. It actually doesn't of the meals that we provide and the room and things like that. But just kudos to you, Christian. Thanks again for being a friend of the event. I love going to your events. Thanks for supporting ours. We're super excited to have you there and coaching and teaching on some surprise subjects. That I think you said you have a new segment too that you're going to teach, but that's all the Thrive seminar.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. There's no event I've been to quite like it, as an attendee when I went last year, and I've said that a couple times, over the past couple months, and I definitely mean it. And yeah, guys, I mean, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but the ticket revenue, right? The $250 for the ticket, which is a steal, by the way. There's not any sponsorships either that you're doing for Thrive. Like a lot of these events that are charging you, like for the summit, right? Like a summit ticket's $400. Plus we rely on sponsorship money just to make sure that we can put the event on and pay for everything. So the fact that it's so inexpensive and, you guys can get in the room and learn that type of information for $250 is crazy. You guys don't want to miss it. You guys want to be there. Trust me on that. It'll be great information, and I'm excited to see everybody.
Hey, me too. I can't wait. These days it's fun to get together with people that are going in the same direction, and really want the same things, or generally speaking, have a desire for similar things in life. And it's always fun to get in the room. There's tremendous networking opportunities as well. And you have people that are making a couple $100,000 a year, people making a few $1,000,000 a year, and you have some, people that are, just first starting out, and we can have lots of different perspectives in the same room. But if you're asking yourself, is this the right event for me? Go click the link and just look at the curriculum. You don't need to listen to me and Christian talk about it. Go look at the curriculum. Go look on the Thrive page about what people in the past have said. We have some videos just talking about what they learned and what they got out of the event. That way you feel that it's right for you. I don't want you to come if you don't feel good about it. So go do your research. Hit me up in Messenger if you want. I won't answer if it's late at night, but you can still shoot me a message. I'll answer the next day, and I'd love to see you there. It'll be a fun time.
Awesome. Josh, thanks for your time. This was awesome, as always.
We should get together more. Every time we love getting together, and we always talk about it. So let's do another one soon.
100%. 100%. I am down anytime, so just let me know. Yeah, guys. I saw a couple questions in the chat just real quick. It says, is Thrive open to anyone? Yes, I would say so, right?
Yeah, totally.
We'd love to have you come out for it.
Anyone that has a good attitude and wants to learn. If you're not willing to put any work into your business or your life, don't come. But if you're a go-getter and you really want more out of life, absolutely. Anybody's welcome.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, guys. The link to the Thrive tickets, I've thrown them in the comment section of everywhere this is streaming. So make sure to go check them out. And excited to see you guys in September. We'll see you then.
See you then. Thanks again, Christian.